Hi, hello, it's me again. Now, I would have made this video like maybe 5 days ago. Actually, if I knew what my issue was when I encountered it, it would have been like, I would have had this done in like 2 days. I spent like the past, I think almost 2 weeks. I'll have to look at the exact date when I did my last devlog. But finally got animations working. I'll run the debug mode so you can see the memory usage. It's nothing too big. So now I have these little, oh yeah, I kind of did some AI things while I was at it. I also brightened up the scene so you can see it without me editing it. So we have these little guys that you did not wave. Every time they stop, they wave. They find their location, they wave. They find a new grid location, convert it into world space, run to it, wave, and they're just in this never-ending cycle because I didn't give the AI any extra functionality. Now I had to make them float a little bit because it was kind of hard to see them just against the edge. Shocker, magenta doesn't really look too good when you're surrounded by a bunch of other colors. Where did I go? I am here. Okay. You may have noticed that this camera is a little bit different. I actually bounded it to the scroll wheel. How I'm going to do it is I kind of want this to be the initial resting. Keep in mind that these tiles will be way bigger. I showed you the quote-unquote real size last video. You scroll up until you get to this flat point. This will be like top-down view, but not map view. And as you scroll up more, the fog of war, not fog of war, a fog will like overtake the map and you will get converted to map view. Like just Civ 6 map view, just like top-down map view. And it will have a bunch of icons and things. So as far as visually, this is all that's happening. Now take note, these are magenta, not by choice, but this has to tie in with what I said last time. I really need to get the UVs out of the shader, because this is caused from the shader itself and not information I'm passing. Well, I am passing in the information, but the shader is the one interpreting it when I should just be telling it what to do instead. Oh yeah, this nasty thing. I forgot to clean up one of my descriptors somewhere. So I created a new quote-unquote method. It's the skinning method for just animated meshes. If I go back to my implementation for the app, I will just start going down the new things. So I think this may or may not be new. I actually don't remember. No, this is new because I created this for the AI, then realized I can use it for other things. So random world location using grid is exactly what it sounds like. It takes the tile grid, well, the tile generator gets the grid, which in this case the max is 120 by 100, and then it just converts it into real world space. And this is just the Y location. In Vulkan, the Y is the up and down axis. It's actually negative Y up, positive Y down, but I'm doing the negative calculation like further in so I don't have to worry about it. And then we have the AI handler. Now the AI handler is just the thing that's going to handle all the AIs. And when I say all the AIs, the AI handler itself is not the one running it. They will be like all the functionalities in the... No. That's a bold-faced lie. My original idea was to have all the functions be in the AI themselves. But no, everything's in the AI handler. Oops. well, it's still early on, I can fix it. If we go onto the AI handler header, we have just some basic things. We have like the move function. Oh no, that's right. The AI, it can't be in the AI because the AI is a data structure. This is the actual thing running it. Yeah, I completely forgot. Obvious. This is the move. This is my basically AI loop. This is what loops. This is just like the thing it receives, the AI loop. I don't know what to call it. This gets called every frame, and then I mean, I'll just call something, if once I get more functionality, I'll call something else. Maybe like a tree. I don't know what I'll call it. But this is the only function I have is move. We go into the implementation. Oh yeah, this was my original implementation. I want you to take a guess. Where is all my vertex data? If you set in its own header file where it should be, you'd be incorrect. All of it's in my model. This thing. Up over here. Right here. So, that was quite a headache to figure out how I was going to deal, because I didn't want to move it. Just yet anyway. I will have to, well, I don't think I'm going to move this, but I will 100% need to move the skinning data. The skinning data is just like the weights, what vertex pushes and pulls with the bone. Anyway, we got the... Where'd my handler go? No, I wasn't in the handler. What was I in? Was I in the handler? Yes, I was. But I realized I couldn't call the animation from the model. That's what my first idea was. Create the model, then from the model create the animation, and then push the data up. But there is a couple problems with that. Mainly how I was going to switch the animations. Because right now if I go into the animation handler, not animation handler, it's just animation, if I can just find it. Animation right here. This is just a bunch of schizophrenic. I just smacked my keyboard accidentally. What did I do? I pressed 87. This is just a bunch of schizophrenic, just like random typing stuff. Because I hit an issue where all my animations were in sync. So I started just throwing stuff at the wall trying to figure out what was going on. This is the issue I was talking about. If I knew this the first 2 days I did this, it would have been out immediately. But for some reason, for almost 2 weeks, I completely forgot that how I originally had it. It was this global descriptor pool and this global uniform buffer. This runs only once, so. Well, okay, all my animations being in sync comes a little bit later. All my animations being just like a single pose, which was the original issue, was from this. I eventually figured that out and created a new bone uniform buffer, which I can update per frame, which if I go to my skinning method, up here you can see, right, this is old. This is what it was. It's just, yeah, even though I was calling it per frame, I couldn't update the information per frame. So I had to create an entirely new set, which is this set 1. Go into the shaders. Where is set 1? Set 1 right in front of me. All it is just some matrices. Matrices. And these matrices just have the transform. Transform. Is that the encapsulation? Yes, transform is the encapsulation, translation is the movement. It was originally here. Now, you may be wondering, where is it? why is the indices and weights tossed in with the meshes? Shouldn't it be like a specialty skinning mesh thing? Yes, you are correct. Why is it in the meshes? It's just something I forgot to change along the way. And now it's like ingrained, so if I want to change it, it's going to be a little bit more difficult. So there was some issues earlier. Primarily, this I probably don't need this anymore. This was an issue when it was combined with the static meshes, because the static meshes would omit the it would just like throw out some of the variables because they weren't being used. And since the static meshes are created first, after they threw them out, nothing else that followed them could use it. So my animation data just couldn't use the same shader. Which, obviously, yeah, I don't know why I thought it would in the first birthed the skinned shaders. Now, I am very sorry for what you're about to see. Because when I said I threw things, I was throwing stuff at the wall, just trying to find something that sticked. I really meant it. I'll just start from the top. So now this came a little bit later. This is the descriptor pool after I figured out what the issue was like a day or like yesterday, maybe 2 days ago. Pretty simple. So we're checking to see if the scene being like the model itself, if it exists, or if it does not exist, or if there is no root node, meaning there shouldn't be any animation. That means I probably mistakenly called the create animated model. It'll just return. I should add some proper air handling, especially for this one. I just haven't gone around to it. Now we're going to check if there's an animation. If there's not an animation, that's a big problem. But you can pretty easily see that it's a problem, because it just won't be playing an animation. It's not like it's going to be a disaster and crash like this. You just won't. It just won't. It'll just stand there, menacing me. So, some looping things. So if it should not loop, it's just going to set a loop finished variable to false. I guess I should explain the looping system. Where's my AI handler? There you is. Creating the load animated model path, just some cloning. We're cloning it. Okay. This was a small issue, but not as big as I thought. You can't set, well, you can with the model, but the animation, you can't set multiple, or at least how it was set up initially anyway. It's C++, you 100% can do whatever you want if you just set it up right. How I set it up initially, I prevented myself from using the same animation, the same animation through all of them, because that would just cause a syncing issue. And when I say syncing issue, I mean all the animations are perfectly in sync. When one waves, they all wave. Not good. They all need to be separate. So that's kind of just to deal with that. Animation model is just a clone of this one, and I'm calling it 5 times this time. Setting the location from grid. Blah blah blah. Here. Okay, so I have a target location in the entity. Just, is there anything interesting? Well, I mean, the can move, that prevents it from shocker moving. I guess the most interesting thing would be this changing animation state. I am going to need to create some kind of, I'm going to need to create just a memory, or I'm going to need to create some kind of centralized system where like 0 would be walking, 1 would be like an action, a specific action like throwing or something, or attacking throughout all of the animations. Or I'm going to have to create like a name, just like a name function finder thing. Either way, I can't just create the animations in whatever order I want, or keeping track of the numbers for every single mesh is going to be a headache. So we're updating animation. If this by default is just true, should loop true. But now, if it can't move, that means it found... No. What am I saying? I'm just talking nonsense at this point. I check the distance using GLN. If I'm within 1.5, nope, just 1 floats, I will count it as the position itself. And then I just set the target location to a new location, change the animation to the waving, and then prevent it from moving. And while it's prevented from moving, it will cause a non-looped animation, which in this case is 1, which would be the wave. Did I just call 0 the wave? 0 is the walk, by the way. I think I just talked over myself. That happens a lot. Now, if it can move, that just means it gets closer. This is just... I mean, I guess ATAN is kind of unique. ATAN 2, well, not unique, but definitely a choice. Why did I not use ATAN? Was it because it used 3? Okay, why did I lose my ability to type ATAN? Did you need 3? Is that what the issue was? No, you just take a single. Well, I'm finding the tangent of the direction of X to the direction of Z, which would be the left and right, and then forward and backwards. Because because Vulcan, I don't know the inner reasons why Y is up and down and not Z like it would be in Blender. Maybe it's easy. Oh, no, wait. It'd be because of the pixels, wouldn't it? The top right of the top left of your screen would be 0, 0. The top right would be 1, 0. Bottom right would be like 1, 1. The screen is 2D, so you've got the X and Y. And then you would use the Z for depth. Actually, that makes a lot of sense. I have never thought of it that way. That actually, yeah. What was I doing? I got sidetracked. Talking about a screen. Animation. Doing something about animation. That's right, animation. You're going to start seeing a mess real soon. We're doing like some time info.time. Frame time is my delta time. I called it frame time just because it's the time from frame to frame. Just thought it was a little more straightforward than calling it delta time. So then the duration, you got the end minus begin, simple. If it should loop, it's going to mod through it, which means if it hits the... Okay, so say the duration was 10 seconds. If the animation hits 11 seconds, it will loop it back to 1. And like just keep that loop from 0 to 10. So if you're not hitting like 10,000 seconds in an animation or something. If it's not, we're going to do the same thing, but once it hits the end. So if it's 30 seconds long, it will have to go through all 30 seconds before it mods it, and then it returns true, which means the animation can now walk again. And then we're just setting current time to time. I was setting up there, but I was overwriting it with something. I don't remember what it was. And now you're going to start seeing where I was just doing random things, trying to force this to work before I realized the problem. I was just printing time. And this, I'm going to start deleting this because I really need to clean it up, and I just wanted to demonstrate all this nonsense before I clean it up. So this is my first iteration. We get every node, we call it node. If the node is not a bone, we just skip it. So we get a transformation for the bone, a translation, which is movement, and a quaternion rotation, which I'm actually really glad that UFPX uses quaternions and not vectors. Not vectors, that's the wrong word. Euler angles, because that's going to be a lot easier if I decide to start doing quaternions. Just last time I tried to do quaternions in my engine, when I would look around, the world would just compress itself into a flat sheet. So I quickly rolled it back to Euler angle or Euler angles. Rotation, and then we're getting a scale. Now this, I think I actually removed this scale. No, I did not remove the scale. Another issue that I faced was Blender. UFPX expects Shocker if I go to my loading function, which I had to create and I'll get to in a second. If I can find it. I really wish I could keep track of these tabs and just... I can lock them into place, I can pin them. Why have I not used that functionality? I'll just look for it in here. Scene loader. I had to... Using a pointer is just one of the things I tried throwing at the wall. But the UFBX expects meters, and the Blender exports in centimeters. So there's like a whole day trying to figure out why my animations were like so small. I thought maybe it was something similar to an Unreal for some reason. If you leave your animation skeleton as armature, it will just make the animations really small. I think it's because it skips the root node or something. I don't know the inner workings of that, but for some reason if your Blender skeleton is named armature, an Unreal Engine, it would just be really small, unless you renamed it. I thought it was something like that. No, I eventually figured out that it was just exportation versus import, exporting versus importing expectations. Really easy to fix, pretty annoying to figure out the issue. Going back to my animation, yes, scale. I was setting up a matrix, which just involves all of these, just the transformation. It's just the state of the bone, the rotation, the size, the location. And then I was creating a singular bone matrix. Why was I creating this bone matrix like that? Oh no, these are the same thing. I was using quaternion for one and then just Euler angles for the other, that's right. Just searching through just finding the same bone, adding it to the matrices, just multiplying it by the parent and multiplying it by the parent to the self just to get like offset and things. And then if there was no parent, that means it just was essentially a root node. I guess it doesn't have to be a root node, but it would essentially just be a root node. That's actually a lie, because the root node is the root. Okay, whatever. You get the concept. The bone, if the bone did not have a parent, there is no offset to give it. And then I would just like add it, multiply it by the bind pose. And now we have like the closer version. We just clear my vectors. These were originally maps, as you see in here, but I switched them to vectors so I could avoid the strings. This is pretty close to what it was up here. I just encapsulated it into an evaluate function. I'm going to skip over a lot of this. We just evaluate the transform. I had to create a custom transformation from UFBX to GLM. I won't get into that until I get lower into the list. That's essentially the same. Now, if it is a bone, I did not realize that. Oh yeah, I need to check if it is a bone instead of if it isn't a bone, because there's like more things. Yeah, that's right, because it could be like a cluster or something, and I don't want it to go in here. That's right, completely forgot about that. We're just getting a bone index. I literally just said I wanted to avoid names, but I need at least one name to help myself more easily track things. So this is basically just tracking and matching. And then we evaluate every child node of the node we just entered. Meaning if right here we evaluate the one single root node, it will evaluate all its children. Just keep looping until it has no children left. Straightforward. Oh no, this isn't doing the root node. This might skip the root node. Why did I do that? Yes, because that's right, because I'm running it a set amount of times instead of there would be a skip here and there either way. I'll just figure out another way to control it. This is some of the naming things I was finding. I was like name lookups I was talking about. Got rid of these. I said I was going to delete a lot of this. I didn't. I just left it here. Why would I? I'm going to keep that one just in case. Get out of here. Be gone. Make my code cleaner. I don't need any of you. Especially this one. Get out of here so I can see and actually do things better. Okay, so right here, it was originally doing the global buffer, which, like I said earlier, is wrong because even if I try to update it, it's not going to push the updates per frame because I just like created like a global, is it this model with this texture with no specific entity override. I don't need this else statement because if it hits to it, that's like extremely wrong. I'm writing to the final bone indices, to the instance buffer. I'm not flushing it because just caching some data just helps with the not efficiency, but speed. This is the first thing I had to create from animation. This I had like loading before I expanded it to a like its own loader function that returned a pointer. I'm still not entirely sure if I want to keep that pointer. I probably will, because I just started structuring things around it. Getting animation stack, that's not too important. I guess this could be kind of interesting. Self class, this returns itself for the entity to set as its own animation. We enter a for loop that checks for skin deformers, which would be the skinning information, going into clusters, checking bone nodes. If it's not a bone, continue. Getting the geometry location, which would just be the essentially a map 3x4 version of what I have up here. Right up here. UFBX is 3x4, GLM is 4x4. All the shaders expect 4x4 matrices unless explicitly specified, so it's easier to just convert them into 4x4. Yep, going through that, multiplying it by bind pose, pretty much exactly what I have up there also. Setting the animation, not too important. The animation stack is the animation. I was doing some frame rate things. I probably need to add this back. I'm not too sure how I'm going to fully implement the frame rate if I do that. I think I'll just create at a certain speed, and if I need to speed it up, I'll just like squish the timeline, or not timeline, squish the duration. This is the second iteration I tried, animation from scene, which was the model. This was me trying to call it from the model, because maybe I thought I could pass up the skinning data, but the skinning data had its own problems. because I needed to update it reliably, and I just couldn't really do it that goodly in the model. Oh, stop, don't do that. This is essentially the exact same. There shouldn't be any difference. Oh, I guess the bone weights would be a little different. No, that's the exact same thing. I'm going to pretend it's mostly the same thing, other than, like, maybe the final weight calculation. Nothing too important that you need to be aware of. Changing animation, I'm just setting an integer to the stack animation, and then the stack animation is being played up in the update. So, when importing animations, I have sometimes just forgot to, what's the word? Export the animations with a mesh. So I had to create kind of like a warning. If I can't change the animation, there was an error changing it. I called the index, whatever index, and then 0 to just like the amount of animations minus 1, so 0 is counted. So if only index 0 exists, that means there's only one animation. Huh. How would I know if there's no animations? I guess it just returned -1. Okay, and this is what I have now, load animated model. And this is me loading the model from the animation, the other way around that I was doing. Because the animation contains all the vertex data, or no, the model contains all the vertex data, and it's just easier to pass it through during creation. That can be removed. This was just some like new scene thing. Like that was me basically prototyping the pointers. So I'm starting an quote-unquote new animation by making a shared animation, which is just self. I'm essentially creating a self. If you know Lua, it's just a self. This is from when I was using map. Have a bunch of local vectors, vertex count. Yeah, pair. Oh, wait. Pair. I thought... That's actually interesting, because I thought I would have to make a hash code for that, but I never did, and it works just fine. Why did I need to make a hash code for the tuple? I actually do not remember anymore. We're doing essentially the same setup it was, checking the bones, if it's not a bone. You know what? I actually need to check if a cluster can contain something that's not a bone, because if it can, that will be an issue. No, it won't, because if it can't find a bone name, then but bone's being set to bone node. Okay, no, it's fine. I'm overanalyzing it. It's fine. It's all meaningless. We're setting the inverse spine pose to the geometry to bone, which is just the... Well, I don't want to call it rest animation, but it's not far from rest animation. It's just the bind minus the offset. Or plus the offset? No, I think it's plus the offset. I don't remember. Not too important. Then we're doing the same, like, weight assigning. Essentially the same. This one's a little bit different. Resizing it, then building it back in place where it's supposed to be. Then we're resizing the vertex data. Oh yeah, I was originally using... What are you? What was I using? I think I was using a vector of 4, and when I say vector, I mean an STD vector, like a dynamic array and not a GLN vector. I think it was a vector of 4 uint32s and then 4 floats. I just changed it to like IVEC and vec4 for like just to pass it into my shader more easier. We're just sorting the weights. We're using a lambda. I don't really like lambdas, but can't deny that they're useful. Well, I like lambdas, I just don't like this version of lambdas. Setting the final weight by 0 initially. From every weight, we're getting the index and weight, then we're adding it to the final weight. Essentially what it just was, we're checking if it contains any data, or contains any data. Of course it contains data. If we're checking to see if we need to, okay, this is indexing, we're essentially just numbering the bones. I'll leave it at that, we're just numbering the bones. So this is what I was talking about earlier, combining the skin structs, because the animation does have its own skin struct right here, which, oh, I was using an array. Yeah, that's terrible. Why would I ever do that? Let's just get rid of this. Oh yeah, before I went to cloning, I was going to like do like source data, which is essentially the same thing, just called something different. Delete the copy constructors, clone from source, which is essentially the create model, just it returns a clone. Create model, scene, self scene, source data, don't need that. What did I just do? That's some more scene things. Animation, get rid of the get bone descriptor. That's right, I was originally doing like a bone descriptor that was recreating the descriptor every frame before I realized I only need to create it once and just update the information passed into it instead, which a lot more resource efficient, infinitely better. I have the finish loop exposed because I need it for the movement function and whatever else I will use. This is from when I was using an actual animation for the animation instead of just a number pointer data. This is essentially just the maps I had last time. Why am I doing it this way? I can just... No, I can't. I thought I could just press delete and remove that whole line. Get back into here, I got distracted. Yeah, combine. And now from here, I'm creating the model, because like I said, it's easier to just pass in the skinning data. I forgot to mention that because it's two separate, I need to convert the animation skinning to model skinning. They are two completely different types, even though that they are the same data, exact same way. Just one's in the animation, one's in the model. I can't just tell it to transfer, I need to explicitly transfer it from animation to model, or whatever else. We're using remove scene because it's a unique pointer. We're just transferring ownership. We're getting the bone count, which is just the bone index, which we get from numbering the bones up here, setting it to the max bones. Setting it to the max bones. Where am I setting? Right here. Setting max bones to bones count. We need to set all of this. We need to do it like it's Lua and set all the like self variables up here to like what the current active variables are, so the clones can get their own starting point before they all branch off into their own behaviors, and then returning the animation model. So in the clone, this is essentially just this, just expounded a little bit. We're creating another animation, we're loading a new scene. Now, I should probably figure out how I'm going to make it share a scene, because that would be more efficient, but I haven't had a problem yet. We're getting this animation and then giving it to the new animation for all the variables. We're resetting its time, resetting its loop status, creating a new buffer, descriptor pool, writing the descriptor. We also have this, which is set self, which is just a slightly different version of this that I was trying out. And not really too important. It's a combination of this and this, the create animation. So I'm just going to sit here, remove it. If you want, you can probably go frame by frame and read it. Don't know why you would. So, yeah, that's right. I really don't want the swap chain associated with the animation directly, because the animation kind of relies on the swap chain, and then there will be like a slight circular dependency I just want to avoid. I'm sure if I just like pull functionality out of it and create and put it, if I pull functionality out of the swap chain and just toss it into its own header, I'm sure it will be fine. But I still just want to avoid that possible circular dependency. So I just hard-coded it to 2, which is the congruent active frames or frames in flight, whatever you want to call them. This is my first iteration of creating the buffer, because I was essentially, this is from when I was creating the set at the same time. Nope, this is from when I was creating the set every frame instead of just updating the information in it. We're writing it. This is the conversion I was talking about. Either way, it doesn't matter. This one and this is the exact same. I just got annoyed with the, I kept just trying to get column M3. M3 doesn't exist, like I said, because it's a 3x4 matrix, and I'm adding this at the end to convert it. So I just switched over to like explicitly calling XYZ columns so I could more easily ingrain it that it's a 4x3. So I'm going to remove this. We're getting the, yep, this is what I was talking about, creating it over and over instead of just returning its own value. And this is our conversion skin. I think that's pretty much, I guess I haven't went through this much. Do you need to know what this is? It's essentially the same. I'm just using a new set, the new set being this right here with the max amount of bones being 60. I should probably import a variable from the pipeline to represent this, but I just hard-coded it to 60. Originally it was 200, which I did not recognize. I thought it was 200 in absolute total. No, I was using 200 per model, so I was allocating like... Do I have 20 bones? I probably have less than 20 bones in that model. So I was allocating more than 10 times the resources I needed. Not good, but can't make it good if it doesn't work in the first place. This is what I'm talking about needing to remove the... Why am I passing the biome into a why am I passing the biome into something that's not a tile? What? Why did I do this to myself? Oh well, I'll figure out at some point. I think that's essentially all that's happened. Is there anything I can think of? If I can't think of it, it likely wasn't important. I think I've gone through everything. Oh, I guess I'll point out one thing. For the layout, I have to tell the pipeline to expect it way before I try to put information in it. Big shocker. But what I kind of thought is I thought I could do this in the animation itself, but I quickly realized that if I do it in the animation itself, the pipeline's going to get flooded with like however many animations I have times this. So not good. Big bad. No. Terrible. Image. I think I showed that. Passing in the bone set. Yeah. getting the entities and passing them so they can get framed, rendered, and then I'm just ending the draw frame, and then I have to move the bone buffer to the bone buffer. Why is the bone buffer in the frame? That's right, because that's what I first initially did. That's probably where my error is coming from then. Oh well, I talked for 45 minutes. Wow. Oh well, that's just this devlog, this Necro Civ update. I'm not going to delete that, that's my sky sphere. I'll keep that. I'll see you all next time, and I hope you all have a good rest of your day. Goodbye.